Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I'll just share my screen. Um, Hare Krishna. I believe everyone can see my screen now.
Yes, Prabhu, we can see.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay. So we're reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita. Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Seated on the worn rug, they looked up at him, waiting for him to begin the next installment. Prabhupada cleared his throat and glanced down at Brahmanand, who sat beside the silent running tape recorder. Swatswarupa entered the date in his notebook. Prabhupada began reading the Bengali verses and paraphrasing. Sanatana took the 7 gold coins from his servant and gave them to the hotel keeper. You have 8 coins, the astrologer said, and Sanatana went back and found that his servant was retaining another gold coin. Why do you carry this dead kneel on the road? Sanatana asked. You're too attached to money. And he took the gold piece from his servant and told him to return home. Sanatana then brought the gold coin to the hotel keeper. But the hotel keeper, who admitted that he had intended to kill Sanatana for his money, now said, You are a good man, and you may keep your money. But Sanatana refused. Then the hotel keeper provided Sanatana with 4 assistants to help Sanatana through the jungle and then left him alone. From free from his nuisance servant and from the dacoits, Sanatana felt liberated as he passed along the road alone. Soon he came up on his brother-in-law, who was traveling along the same road. His brother-in-law was a wealthy man, carrying a great deal of money to buy horses. Please stay with me at least a few days, Sanatana's brother-in-law said. It's really bad how you look. The brother-in-law knew that Sanatana was going to spiritual life, but he requested that he improve his dress by accepting a valuable blanket from him. Sanatana took the blanket and continued on his way. At last, Sanatana reached Benares, and he went straight to the home of Chandrasekhar, where Lord Chaitanya was staying and waited outside the door. Lord Chaitanya knew Sanatana had arrived, and he requested Chandrasekhar to go to the door and ask the devotee who was waiting there to come in. Chandrasekhar went out but saw only the wretched-looking Sanatana, whom he took to be a half-mad Mohammedan fakir. Chandrasekhar returned to Lord Chaitanya and explained that there was no devotee outside. Was there anyone at all? The Lord asked. Yes, said Chandrasekhara, some wretched fakir. Then Lord Chaitanya went to the door and embraced Sanatana. The Lord cried tears of ecstasy, for he had at last found a devotee whom he knew was worthy to receive his entire teachings. And Sanatana cried tears of joy that his life ambition was being fulfilled. But because he was dirty from his traveling and not worthy, he asked the Lord not to touch him. The Lord replied, It is I who benefit from touching you. Whoever touches a true devotee is blessed. Prabhupada closed the book, ending another morning session. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you can see the Bhagavatam verse also now?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see
Okay.
that.
Okay, thank you. Krishna, so we are reading from today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 44. This is just 12 prayers. Narayanam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottam. Devim Saraswati Tato Jayatu Divaya. Nastaparaye Subhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloki. Bhakti Bhagavate Shloki. Adrashim Bhagavatam Please. चिरवासा व्रताक्षमा वेणीभूता शिरोरुहा स्वभाव उपा पतिं सन्ता शिखा सन्तं इवानलम् चिरवासा व्रताक्षमा वेणीभूता शिरोरुहा बभाव उपा पतिं सन्ता शिखा सन्तं इवानलम् चिरवासा व्रताक्षमा वेणीभूता शिरोरुहा बभाव उपा पतिं सन्ता शिखा सन्तं इवानलम्. I would request Prabhuji Mataji to review. Anyone
Hare
who's
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat
Hare Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Chiravasha Vrata Shama Veni Bhuta Shirodva Babaha Upapatim Shanta Sheka Shantam Ivanalam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Yes, Prabhu.
Chiro Vasha Brato Kshama Beni Bhuto Shiroruha Bhava Bhupotim Shanta Shikha Shantam Ivanalam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Chirovasha Vrotokshama Benibhuta Shiroruha Bhavaupapotim Shanta Shikha Shantamivanam.
Hare Krishna Mata. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mata. Dandavat Pranam.
Chiravasa Vrattachama Veni Bhuta Siroruha Babhava Upapatim Shanta Shikha Shantam Ivanalam. Thank you, Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Mata. Hare Krishna. Okay. Synonyms. Chira Vasa. Wearing old garments. Vatakshama. Lean and thin on account of austerities. Venibhuta. Entangled. Shiroruha. Her hair. Prabhu. She shone. Upapatim, near the husband. Santa, peaceful. Shikha, flames. Santam, without being agitated. Eva, like. Andalam, fire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anybody would like to read the translation who hasn't read the shloka?
I'll try, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Pranam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
The daughter of King Vidarbha wore old garments. She was lean and thin because of her vows of austerity. Since she did not arrange her hair, it became entangled and twisted in locks. Although she remained always near her husband, she was as silent and unagitated as the flame of a undisturbed fire. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When one begins to burn firewood, there is smoke and agitation in the beginning. Although there is so many disturbances in the beginning, once the fire is completely set, the firewood burns steadily. Similarly, When both the husband and wife follow the regulative principles of austerity, they remain silent and are not agitated by sex impulses. At such a time, both husband and wife are benefited spiritually. One can attain this stage of life by completely giving up a luxurious mode of life. In this verse, the word Chirasabhasha refers to very old torn garments. The wife especially should remain austere, but desiring desiring luxurious dresses and living standard. She should accept only the bare necessities of life and minimize her eating and sleeping. There should be no question of mating. Simply by engaging in the service of her exalted husband, who must be a pure devotee, the wife will never be agitated by sex impulses. The Vanaprastha stage is exactly like this. Although the wife remains with the husband, she undergoes severe austerities and penances, so that although both husband and wife live together, there is no question of sex. In this way, both husband and wife can live together perpetually. Since the wife is weaker than the husband, the weakness is expressed in this verse with the word upapatim, who means near to or almost equal to. Being a man, the husband is generally more advanced than his wife. Nonetheless, the wife is expected to give up all luxurious habits. She should not even dress nicely or comb her hair. Hair combing is one of the main businesses of women. In the Vanaprastha stage, the wife should not take care of her hair. Thus, her hair will become tangled in the knot. Consequently, the wife will no longer be attractive to the husband, and she herself will no longer be agitated by sex impulses. In this way, both husband and wife can advance in spiritual consciousness. This advanced stage is called Paramahansa stage, and once it is obtained, both husband and wife can actually be liberated from the bodily consciousness. If the disciple remains steady in the service of the master, he need no longer fear falling down into the clutches of Maya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I want to ask everyone's forgiveness. I forgot. I'm supposed to sing Radha Madhava. If everyone's okay, I can just sing it now, and then we just continue. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanessari Yamuna Tira Vanessari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Giridhari Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranita 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 Jaya Gauranita Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Radha Bhagwan ki Jai Jagannath Baleswara Ma ki Jai Gaunitai ki Jai Tai Go Premanande Hari Hari all goes to Slowly Hare Krishna all goes to Slowly Hare Krishna all goes to Slowly Hare Krishna all goes to Shri 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 Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparantakam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sarvadatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanakaitam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarivasya Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Shami Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Controversial Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. I'll just read the translation one more time. The daughter of King Vidarbha wore old garments, but she was lean and thin because of her vows of austerity. She did not arrange her hair, it became entangled and twisted in locks. Although she remained always near her husband, she was as silent and unagitated as the flame of an undisturbed fire. Just to yesterday, this case, Savitri Mataji explained very nicely, and she has captured in a recap the main theme of this analogical story that's continuing, and the way we can see that it is from text 43 to 50 verses, verse one. It is basically instruction for the disciple. How and now Mataji explained nicely said that how a disciple should act, where the previous verse was focusing on the attitude or mood of a disciple. And progressing from that, Mataji did explain the characteristics of a disciple, where Queen Vedarbi is represented as a disciple, and her husband King Maladvaja, husband, who's representing a spiritual master. And in this specific verse, we get to see the how disciple should be serving and its activity towards a spiritual master. So today's text is more focused towards the journey about of a surrendered disciple. Now, within the purport, Prabhupada nicely explains, and the Prabhupada, the purport is broken into two parts. The first part talks about how when someone's initially starting once they have uh, taken the part of our devotional service, once they have started, how just like the burning firewood, there's smoke and agitation. So there is some form of roadblocks in one's spiritual path at the beginning stage. And then Prabhupada also explains very nicely that how the spiritual path or those barricades in this scenario, agitation by sex impulse or sense gratification um, can be mitigated by performing austerity. And then once when is continuously performing the once they are steady in their austerity in the pursuit of devotional progress, then how spirituality helps them to attain that steadiness and comes from surrender and which comes from surrender and service. So today, the purport, I'm trying to cover the purport in three aspects. First, the roadblocks in one's spiritual path. Second, overcome the barricade of agitation of sex impulse, austerity, and spirituality, steadiness comes from surrender and service. So let's look at the roadblocks. Now, to reach whenever we start a journey to reach destination that is not accessible by a clear path or by or a clear road, we need a clear path. But then, and for such path, we rely on people, we rely on our best friends, but we don't try to build a path by ourselves because we are not aware of such path. Unfortunately, in this scenario, in this case, when it comes to material world, we rely on our friend mental world. In this mental world, we rely on our mind, and the mind, instead when we try to rely on mind, it instead of resisting temptation, mind springs into numerous actions. Whenever we have a query to our mind, it springs into numerous actions, numerous ideas, numerous views. And as a result of that, what happens? Instead of solutions, many problems come up. If we try to go against the mind, definitely it springs up with many problems, with many roadblocks. It brings fear of unmanageable problems, fear of losing, and the result is we mostly give up because of such roadblocks. Just like Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna came to fight, and he was ready to fight. They declared that they're ready to battle. All the conch shells were blown, and the roar, as explained in Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhupada explained, that the roaring of the conch shell of the drums and the weapons almost shattered the heart of the opposite army of Duryodhana's army. But from this ready to fight, ready to win situation, when Arjuna saw his family and friends in front of him, whom he's going to fight, what happened? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 29, Prabhupada, in written translation, explains that Arjuna's state from a warrior changes completely to someone who's trembling out of fear. From fearless, he became fearful. Prabhupada says that Arjuna says that my whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandhiva, is slipping from my hand. Arjun, we in Bhagavad Gita explained that how Arjuna took an oath that he will never let that bow down as long as he's breathing. And the same Gandhi Baba was slipping from his hand, and his skin is burning. So, and as a result of that, Arjuna comes up with many excuses of not to fight. Now, we have to know that here the reason of Arjuna's uh, change from a fearless to fearful state was because of Lord's plan. Lord Krishna wanted to give Bhagavad Gita to us. That's why Arjuna was put into this state um, of confusion, of dilemma, which was again arranged by Lord's energy, Yoga Maya. But if we look at at someone who's progressing, who's trying to move towards spirituality, they go through the same state. They want to achieve, but same time, it's hard for them because you're trying to go against the normal flow of or the abnormal flow of mind, and hence it presents heaps of roadblocks in your path when you try to begin to follow the regulatory principles of austerity. And as in the Prabhupada Sri Prabhupada has explained, just like that firewood, when there's fire, because of the fire, when the firewood is burning, at the initial state, there's smoke and agitation in the beginning until it reaches that steady state. So what is making this? What makes up this roadblocks? Okay. It is our mind. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 665, Lord says that one must deliver himself with the help of his mind. This is in the translation, and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So mind is one's friend and enemy as well. How do we understand this? And in the following text, Lord again says that because for him who has conquered the mind is the best is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So mind will remain the greatest enemy unless we conquer our mind. Because of the conditional state, as in the previous six, Prabhupada explained that because of the conditioned soul, because of life after life conditioning of the soul, where the subtle body moves on with the gross body. With the subtle, the soul moves with the subtle body. The mind, because of those conditioning, desires to enjoy process gratification. So we can see that our mind needs to be informed and reformed through some form of reformation. And what is this reformation? This reformation within the first part of the purport, as Prabhupada says, is the regulatory principle, which one can learn through the supreme yoga, as further explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Now, uninformed mind is always prone to the dangers of inner weakness. And what are these weaknesses? Anyone wants to mention what are the three weaknesses that makes us go through this conditioned state of mind? It is lust, anger, and greed. And living entities carry these weaknesses from their condition, say from past life, as we discussed. So, out of these three weaknesses, in the purport, Prabhupada has pointed towards lust. It has been highlighted as it is the root cause of of our conditional existence in this material world. Within Srimad Bhagavatam, it has been mentioned a number of places that lust is the the um, the root cause of our conditional state, and because of that, a soul goes to um, life after life, to transformation, to body after body. Lord says that it is lust only which is born out of the contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath. In Bhagavad Gita 3.37, Lord says that Kama Isha, Krodha Isha. So it is lust only, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and Krodha Isha, which is transformed into wrath. So Rajaguna Samudbhava. Now, and this lust, what does it do? In chapter 3, text 40, Lord says further that the sense, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting place of the lust. So this lust resides in the mind. And through them, lust covers a real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So this is real knowledge that the lust covers, and as a result, the living entity forgets its true identity. It bewilders, it goes into illusion. So how do we get over this enemy of lust? So we know the barricade. Now, how do we overcome the barricade? So to curb this enemy, in the very beginning, we need to regulate the senses. How? So Lord says in chapter 3, text 41, continuous text, that in the beginning, in the very beginning, not at the end, not at the end of life or not in the middle, Lord is saying that in the very beginning to Arjuna, that curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Papaman, papmanam, pajahi, enam, jnana, vijnana, nashanam. And once we have curbed this enemy, we will not be agitated by lust or sense gratification. As Srila Prabhupada mentions here, this sex impulse, which is the highest form of material sense gratification, slowly diminishes like the smoke and agitation till the fire is steady. So in the purport, as first part of the purport, as Prabhupada says that when the husband and wife are following this regulative principle of austerity, they both benefit spiritually. Now, through this practice of yoga, supreme yoga, which is Krishna consciousness, and by remaining steady in following the regulative principles, one can overcome this roadblock. And one needs to practice the regulative principles in any of the, in all of the, not any, in all of the varnashrama, to remain aloof and safe from this ever-devouring enemy called lust. And the best example is this whole story of King Puranjana, who's engaged in sense gratification. He's killing, he's committing sinful activities, and as a result, we can see that he lost everything. He even lost the object um, of attachment that he had, and leading him all the way to taking birth again as Queen Vedardri. Now, from this we understand that mind is the biggest enemy, and within mind, lust, who is the reason because of uh, the soul, the spirit soul, or the living entity being entrapped in its conditioned state can be manipulated through regulatory principle, as explained in the first extraction of the purport of regulatory principle of austerity. And with continuous practice, they will not be get agitated by effects of lust, which in say scenario is explained as sex impulses. And then they will be able to attain this stage of life by completely giving up a luxurious mode of life. So as part of regulatory principles, one will not forcefully but naturally will give up the agitation of lust. Now, in the second part, what is the state? What happens when the queen or a person is following the regulatory principles and is remaining steady and practicing the its austerity by service? The first line is that Prabhupada says is in this verse the word chira vasa refers to very old worn garments. Chira word is also mentioned somewhere as eternal. So the eternal soul trapped within this old garment of within this body, which goes through transformation from young all the way to old. It once it realizes its default nature, its true nature, which is to serve, then it is able to run within its default mode, which is to remain austere, to serve and not desiring um, bodily pleasure or not desiring uh, living standards that meant to maintain for one's body. Now, under the control of material energy, it serves the mind and the senses. But by this process of spirituality, as Prabhupada explained, the regulatory principle of austerity, one becomes conscious of the fact that they are spirit soul, they are the eternal Shira, and not this body. They're not this vasa, the old torn garment. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, chapter 13, text 3, Prabhupada says that in order to maintain the level of austerity one's practicing, the religious principles strengthened by the mode of goodness will help them to destroy the influence of passion and ignorance. And this process, by the process of Krishna consciousness, what is able to achieve the mode of pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, which is above the, the, the mode of goodness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 25.5, Mahaprabhu says in the translation, when devotional service is situated on the transcendental platform of pure goodness, it is like a ray of the sunlight of love of Krishna. And Mahaprabhu says that Krishna, Surya Sama, Maya Andhakar, Jaha Krishna, Maya Nahi Adhikar. So wherever is that sunlight of Krishna, there is no place for darkness, there is no place for Maya. And as a result, what happens? Devotional service increases and one's heart becomes softens and they build with emotion or power for love for Godhead. But through in that process, one also realizes that their true state is their eternal soul and they have an eternal relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord, which is which is when that bhava develops. Now, such self-realized soul do not care for this eternal covering, like old torn garments, and they surrender all luxury only to serve the Supreme, as explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And they don't care about this body at all. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Dehi nosminyata dehe kavaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhira satrana muyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from old age, the soul simply passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So once we realize that yes, this is we are spirit soul, we are not this body. Then they are not bewildered by any such change. For example, the pastime of Shabri. Um, Shabri, who waited, who waited for arrival of Lord Ram, as instructed by the spiritual master, and after she grew in a they say as in Ramayana Nishada family, but when Matanga Rishi took her under his shelter and before leaving before departing from this material world, Matanga Rishi advised Shabri to wait for the Lord to come, so that when he comes, he is welcome and he's taken care. And with that instruction, keeping that instruction, taking that instruction to her heart, she waited. She waited from youth all the way to old age. And then when Lord Ram came to see her, she was able to serve the Lord and benefited, and at the same time went back to Lord Ram's abode. And similarly, the same process or similar pastime can be seen between Lord Krishna and Kupja. So we can see that when one is engaged as per the instructions of the spiritual master and not desiring any luxurious rest or any material benefits, they are able to achieve the mercy of the Lord. But at the same time, through that process, through the Vanaprastha stage, we can see that at the same time, they're able to maintain the standard of spirituality. As Prabhupada says in the purport that the Queen Vidarbhi, she went to severe austerities and penances, and while maintaining the relationship of husband and wife, there was no question of sex impulse. So one doesn't needs to be one doesn't needs to um, one needs to maintain the level of spiritual uh, or derivative principles within whatever ashram they are, and they will be still able to achieve the goal. Now, while going through that stage, as with the pastime of Shabri, you can see that when Shabri passing on from youth to old age, she at old age when she met Lord Ram, she was not in a good condition. She was old, her hair were not combed, but Lord did still reciprocated her the way he reciprocated everyone else. So the external beauty of a person is not um, any important factor for one to perform uh, austerity or want to practice in spirituality. And hence we can see with the Queen Vidarbhi was also not taking care of herself. She was not dressed nicely or combing her hair. Because as for what explained in the purport, that forming of hair is one of the main business of women. And in Vanaprastha says the wife should not take care of her hair. Because one can one can um, one can entice someone as within the purpose saying that hair is not one of the major factors, but hair combing is one of the main business. So as a result, to give away such material, to give away such material beauty, what happened? Her hair became tangled in knots. With this gradual change or gradual progress in by following religious principles of austerity, both husband and wife can dedicate themselves in spiritual consciousness and advance. And Prabhupada has called this state as Paramahamsa stage. In in Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 1, Lord Rishabh also tells his sons the same instruction. He tells his sons that all of the living entities who have accepted such material body in this world, those who have been awarded this human form, should not be engaged in material activities for sense gratification, like animals, like dogs and hogs. But because the real purpose of this human form is to engage in penance and austerity. To do what? To attain the divine devotional service. And by such activity, one's heart gets more purified. And when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. We know that in the material world, as at a body level, one only goes through miseries. One is always in there are four kind of miseries. There's miseries, then there's we are in illusion, and we are always surrounded by cheating propensity, and we are satisfying our senses. So at the end, there's no material happiness, which is what we can see with Arjuna also. Arjuna did pointed out that just by killing everyone and by winning this kingdom, at the end, what will I get? I will not be able to enjoy with my loved ones. And as a result, I will incur sins because of the killing. So, one, to attain that eternal happiness, the only path is via attaining the divine provision of devotional service. And just like Queen Vedurbi, like a chaste wife, served her husband, was able to achieve that state. Similarly, a disciple needs to follow the instruction of his or her spiritual master to achieve that spiritual perfection. Because all the information, all the instructions that we, from a spiritual perspective, that we are getting is to the mercy of spiritual master. Now, from a material perspective also, if we can see that soul by default has a serving attitude, has a serving tendency. From childhood, we are serving our parents. From Um, when we go to school education, we are serving. We are always under the guidance of teachers. When kids, parents, and students, teachers, when uh, when we then we continue, and at some stage when we go to work life, then we are under the guidance of our colleagues. So at every stage, we are always under the guidance of someone. So when we say we are under the guidance, it means there's a master and there's a student or there's a disciple. So we are always serving till end of our life. And if none of them, then we are serving our senses. But no way we are able to achieve that happiness, because in material world there's no happiness. So a soul's true identity is, as Mahaprabhu says, the soul is eternal duty is to serve Krishna, Nitya Krishna Dham. So as is that aspect of servant, there has to be an aspect of master. Materially there is, and spiritually also. So in spirituality is disciple and spiritual master. When we read Bhagavad Gita, within the introduction, the first invocation prayer, what we say is Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are saying that I was born in the darkest ignorance. And who got me out of this ignorance? My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. So to get out of this world of misery, to understand our true identity, to realize our true goal of life, one is to serve, one needs a spiritual master. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, one is benedicted by the mercy of Krishna. Because without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. In the morning when we do Mangalarti, we sing Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada. Yasya Prasadana Nagati Kutopi. So without the grace of spiritual master, there's no gati, there's no possibility of advancement. And it's same in material life too. Uh, without the proper guidance, one cannot progress in material life. Same applies in spiritual life. And same thing has been explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada too, that both husband and wife can be actually liberated from bodily consciousness only when they steadily serve, remain steady in the service of spiritual master. And what happens as a result of that? They no longer fear falling down into the clutches of Maya. Without proper guidance, there's always the risk of one falling down. But when one is dedicated with full faith and sincerity to the spiritual master, there is no fear of falling down. And within Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has quoted a number of places, number of times, that spiritual master is none other than the direct representative of Lord Krishna. So when we are serving our spiritual master, we are directly serving Lord Krishna. With that, I'll end the class. Just to summarize. So within our spiritual path at the beginning, there's always some smoke and agitation, which we went through as in the form of sense gratification, lust, which can dwindle our spiritual journey. But to overcome the barricade of agitation, we can only do by following the regulative principles of austerity, which will help us to conquer this enemy of last. But to understand these regulatory principles, one and to maintain to the steadiness within one's spirituality, one has to serve serve spiritual master, and that can only happen by sincere faith and surrender. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. If there's any questions,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Thank you very much for bringing up the context of this text, which is continuation from the text 43, and explaining the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple, and what are the consequences in the process of spiritual advances, which are known as the roadblocks, and how we come over all these roadblocks. You have nicely explained how this LAG works throughout our spiritual advancement in the initial stage, and how we come over all these uh, problems by the association of the spiritual master. So spiritual master is the guide, and he can help us in overcoming the hurdles, which is lust, anger, and greed, throughout our journey. And he is the only person to guide in every respect of our advancement. So here we can see this Malaitaja and his wife. They are so concurrently advanced. One is advanced, and how his wife is concurrently advancing by the process of austerity, that we can see. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned, and this is how this relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple can help each other in the advancement of spiritual journey. So this example is really very important for all of us to understand the inner meaning. And this is how Vaidarbi was maintaining with the spiritual master husband Malaidhaja. And finally she could achieve the goal and the stage of Paramahansa. So this is the clear indication of how the spiritual master help us to progress in our spiritual life by following the regulative principles. So this example of Chiravasha is so important that helps us to understand our advancement in the stages right from the beginning to the aspiring devotee. Thank you so much for enlightening through examples from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Chaitamrita to really understand the hurdles in our spiritual life and how to overcome, and the relationship between the spiritual master and the devotee, how to maintain, how to keep it in track, and with that, how to advance yourself. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. There was a small pastime. One of uh, Prabhupada's disciples that I was reading yesterday, and Prabhupada's disciples, they always show that how much faith and dedication they had, and the way the mind, the way their thoughts were. Um, it was Haridas, His Grace Haridas Prabhu. So once they went with Prabhupada somewhere, and to have a meeting with one of the donators, and the Prabhu had a small like button on his kurta, which had Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra. Um, and there was a kid there who looked at those buttons, and just started nodding his head and asking for it. And the Prabhupada's disciple, Prabhuji was uh, bit attached to those buttons, and he didn't wanted to give them. And then and he was scared that Prabhupada might ask him to give it to him. Um, and Prabhupada saw both of them, and Prabhupada just pointed like this, 10 rupees, and the kid uh, uh, bit little bit sad, but then again smiled and he nodded. He said, "No, I won't, still want this." And Prabhupada's being as mercy. I mean, Prabhupada showered his mercy on the kid and told his disciple to give those buttons to him. And at that point, the, the thought that came into Prabhu's mind was very beautiful. He said that yes, with this service, he gave the button and he thought that by serving his guru, two things happen. He detached from uh, those buttons, which was um, Lord's photos and so Lord, but at the same time he built attachment to the so he lost he had detachment to the Lord's lotus feet, but then he gained attachment to the lotus feet of his spiritual master. So,
Yeah.
so quite nicely it within the Prabhupada anecdote it was explained and it was very beautiful. And as Mataji used to also say that how one should be serving the spiritual master, which is in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, that we Panipatina Pariprasana Sevya. So we need to take our spiritual master's words as one's life and soul. And and with that dedication, one is surely guaranteed to attain progress and advance in spirituality. But thank you, Prabhuji, for summarizing it so nicely. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for your example too. Thank you so much.
Okay, if there's no question, then I will request Prabhuji, Abhichan Prabhuji, Abbas.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the nice class. And so it appears there is no other person to make comments. So thank you for the very nice class. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripasindhubhyo pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
jai. Srila
Srila
Prabhupada
Prabhupada ki
ki
jai, Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam
best
ki
unit.
jai.
His Grace Prabhu ki
Nimai
jai.
Prabhu ki jai. Hare
God Premanande Hari
Hare
Hari.
Krishna.
Hare Hare Bol.
Krishna Dasam Hare Krishna.